Yeah, engine-wise, this is less torque but more fun. You don't get the fantastic... Whoops, sorry. You don't get the fantastic torque to overtake here easily, but you get enough to do it like this. Yeah, granted, mine can do this easier, but not as fun, not as much fun. You never get to hear it sing, and this one does sing. And even though the exhaust is very silent, very muffled, you can still feel it. You can feel the vibration slightly, and you can hear the exhaust at high revs. So one of these with a really good aftermarket exhaust should sound absolutely wonderful. Doesn't sound like a doesn't really sound like a low cc two-cylinder little bike. Sounds like a, I wouldn't say like a 4-cylinder inline bike, but it's close. You should be able to hear it if I go down like this. Look. And once you get used to the lightness of it, it really is quite a bike. And it's cheap too. Here it's 6,000 euros, which is 700 less than an NC, which in American money is like $1,000 less. So for such a cheap bike, it's like half the price of a CBR. It's actually, I think it's actually literally half the price of a CBR. You get a bike which for most of the time is going to be more than enough. Would I trade this one for my NC? No, because I really like my NC and I've gone attached to it. But if I had to buy one and choose between the two, I'm not really sure. Really. Okay, the NC has that huge space in the front, which is quite a luxury. But this one is a better commuter. This is definitely a much better commuter than the NC, because it is lighter, it is lower to the ground, so you can easily put your feet down. And since it is lower to the ground, then you can put your feet down when you're maneuvering at slow speeds and parking and whatnot. You don't feel the weight as much, especially if you're a bit on the short side like I am. If you're having doubts about the NC because of the height, and if you sit on the NC but you're not really happy because it's too tall for you, this is the bike to get. If the NC feels, if normal bikes feel short to you, then go for the NC. Commuting, well, it depends on what you want. Both of these are cheap bikes, economical bikes. Now it depends on what priorities you have. If you want to have fun, you want an adventure bike, okay? Because if you don't want an adventure bike, if you want an R or a naked one, there's the CBF and the CBR. But let's say you want an adventure bike, but you do not want a cross tourer because it's way too big, way too heavy, and way too powerful. You like the styling, and you want a cheap bike. You got this one and the NC. You get this one if you want to have more fun with the engine. You get the NC if you want to save fuel and the extra luxury of a space in the front. If you don't need a space in the front, which you do, because it's really useful. What the fudge? Okay, if you don't want the space in the front, well, this is basically the one to get. This is also better for a novice rider because it's really manageable and easy to ride and very light. If you're coming in from a 1 to 5, you'll feel right at home. At times you'll feel like you haven't actually changed much, because it doesn't feel heavier. It does feel more powerful than the 125, obviously, but it doesn't really feel much heavier than the 125. And it's as easy to ride as a tiny one, as the tiny 125 you're used to. Let's brake properly. Awesome brakes. This brakes really well. Really well. I have only been going around in relatively wide places, so I'm going to run around in a densely populated area. Little tiny back roads and such. Let's try it out its commuting ability. Hey, old man. Let me get out of the way of this ambulance. Well, that was good to see if it's light and nimble. It is. Yeah, but for city, it's to run around in these little back roads in the city. This isn't quite the city, but you get what I mean. It's very comfy. The engine's more than adequate, and this is actually a much better city commuter than your regular 600cc bikes that you get, because you can just chuck this around. Look, no effort whatsoever. I'm beginning to think I prefer the 500s and seat. This one's beginning to hurt my bum already. I'm not really sure where I'm going. I'm just venturing, literally. I have no idea where this leads. I'm just turning left and right and left and right, and look, a dead end. So, should I go that way? Should I? Test drive machine? Let's try it. No, we won't. This is glass. I am not going to... Let's just spin it around like I do with mine. This is easier because this is lighter. You might have noticed that as soon as I put the side stand down, it just turned off the engine. Let me just try it out one thing. See? Side stand down, engine off. No clutch, starter, nothing happens. Clutch in. That's a feature of big bikes, and it's also nice to have. Both of them have. One thing I keep forgetting about the NC, which is bad for beginners, is because of the shorter range of the engine, you get used to riding a certain way, as you might have noticed, because I'm short shifting a lot. However, you also get used to downshifting differently, because since it has such low revs, you just downshift and you don't care to blip the throttle, which you should learn to do, especially if you want to eventually get onto bigger bikes. And you just use downshifts as if it was a car, and you shouldn't really do that. You should learn to do it properly, and this one will allow you to do that because it has a higher, much higher rev range. Once you go around and enter the correct way there. So we are nearing the end of our ride, and here is my conclusion. This is as good as the NC with a slightly different focus. The NC feels bigger, heavier, more of a bike. This feels more at the 250cc or 125 end of the scale, but with good power and a lot of fun. This is more fun than the NC. Lighter, much more agile. Forgot to do some zigzags. Nah, no matter. I love to do this. Feels lighter, feels nimbler, and it is. And it doesn't feel cheaper, see? These maneuvers on the NC are always a bit of a pain because it's not quite as agile, but the big difference is this. See how I actually just look, I'm going backwards really easily, and on the NC it was a core to do this. This is a really nice bike. It has the same stupid side stand as the F, in which to put the side stand off, it's like this. See, it goes under the peg, so it's harder to actually flip the stand off. So, things I liked. Everything, basically. Things I didn't like. Well, can't say I was too fond of the seat. It was hurting me here. It's a bit too stiff. I think that the F seat was better, and the R. Then I do not know why they changed it to a worse one. However, this one doesn't really slip. It's really anti-slip. Other stuff I don't like. Well, I was going to say I don't like these stickers, and this is a sticker. You can even see the edge here. But on this one it looks awesome. The white one looks bad, so you can just take this one off. Oh, I have been told that the reason why the CBR has this big sticker in the front and then the sticker on the tank is under the varnish, under the last coat of paint, is because this way users can remove the sticker to have it completely white, and if it was under the paint you couldn't. So that's why they put it on top, to give you the option to remove it. This one's also a sticker, but on this black one it looks awesome. Look, you just go to the dealership and just look at the black one. It's different. It's a matte black. If you have a matte black helmet, well, I wouldn't advise it because you'd be bloody invisible, but looks awesome. I really like this windscreen. Honestly, if you buy one of these, you're not going to need a windscreen even for highways, unless you're going to make some really over 500 kilometer trips for a full tank of gas trip one way and then another full tank back. You don't really need a windscreen. This is really good. It's much better than the stock one for the NC. It's almost as good as this one, and it looks good. I really like the way. I didn't really like because I was expecting bigger, fatter, and it's not. It's thinner. So it, look, I'm going to show you what I mean. Look at this. I'm sitting on the bike. See, it's like this. It's this wide. It's about in line with my nipples. Okay, and there's a big hole here, and it's like this big. Now let's see the NC. It's a lot taller, and it's, instead of this, it's like this wide here in front. This hole is a lot smaller. The dash is way over there and higher, so it feels fatter, bigger, more of a bike. Know what I mean? The NC feels like a 700. This one feels like a 250. That's the difference, and I like the feel of this one. Big bike feel better than that one, but it's very light, and actually for commuting this is going to be an awesome bike to commute on, because the NC, sometimes when I'm commuting, I'm like, oh god, if I have to brake suddenly, what am I gonna do if I have to brake suddenly? This one, you just brake and you just lift it up. Just look at the difference. I'm going to see, I'm struggling to balance it here. Now look at this one. Whoop. I'm not struggling at all. See? That's the difference. So for commuting, this is a great bike for commute. The NCs also, that's why it's been sold so much. But for commuting purposes, running around, this is better. The NC has a huge advantage, which is the gigantic space in front, which can fit a helmet, or your rain gear, or your knee and shin protectors, your gloves, cleaning products. If you have a small laptop, a 13-inch laptop fits in there. That's very useful. So you get that in a top case, you have luggage space, a huge luggage space. This one doesn't. On the other hand, if it's cheaper, less economical, but it's cheaper and more fun, looks as good as, it's a great bike. It's really, really, really a great bike. I really loved it. And now, because everyone asks this, at the end, I've done 28 kilometers, and I have done an average of 4.4. This one on my bike would do, let's say, 3.8. That's half a liter less. So this is always going to spend between half a liter and 1 liter more to 100 kilometers. And I've been pushing it. I have been pushing it. So it's going to be only half a liter more fuel than that one. Better engine, more fun engine. That one has a better engine, but this one is more fun. So yeah, that's it. The Honda CB500x. It's going to sell like freaking hotcakes because it is a freaking good bike. Even these freaking exhausts in the front look awesome. Look, they're shiny chrome. Everything about this bike breathes quality. I don't know where it's built, and I really don't care because it's perfect. Look. This is just dirt that just stuck here. It's a cobweb. It's everything here is perfectly well built and put together, just like the NC. And mine is very dirty. It's 10,000 kilometers old already. See? Everything is in place except for this. But I have been disassembling this a couple of times. Everything is in place, and it's a great bike. It is a great bike. I really, really, really like it. Every little detail is perfect. It's one of those bikes where the original indicators actually look great. The only thing you have to really change are these mirrors because, well, they're not as ugly as the F here, but they are very utilitarian and ugly. So I would change these to a more pretty rear view mirror. But that's just about it. Oh, these are not adjustable and not adjustable. You can adjust the clutch, but you can't adjust the brake. So they're just cheap. So that's it. I love this bike. Catch you out. Hi, I am Kaijer on two wheels, and this will be the test drive of the Honda CB500x. My bike is this, the NC700X.